Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the beautiful Mia Chainsaw. Mia, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing very well. Very excited to be here with you. But before we talk about why you're here, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You were born and raised outside of Boston, which you think is the greatest city in the world. As a Detroit guy, I will totally argue that till the day I die.
That's
Um,
fair.
you are a wife and mother of two awesome kids and two fur babies. Um, but like I said, it's not all about horror all the time. You did go to school, you studied architecture and interior design, and that's something that it takes a lot of patience, a lot of hard work. So, what got
Mhm.
you interested in architecture and interior design?
So I actually took an architectural drafting class as like a fun little side class because I loved the teacher in high school. Um, and I ended up absolutely falling in love with it. The teacher ran a competition for, whoever designed the best house. He was going to present those blueprints to friends of his that were building a house, and mine was chosen. So I actually designed a house that was built, which was really, really cool.
That's so
Um,
rad.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I really uh, don't love math. So
Yep.
architecture was probably not the way to go for me. Um, and it just led me into interior design. I'm super passionate about creating fun spaces, spaces that represent people. I hate like the cookie cutter
Sure.
Pinteresty nonsense. Like I want it to feel like it represents um who lives there.
Right.
So I did a lot of work between different companies learning different aspects. And I've designed a lot of rooms, and it's really been a fun journey, but I'm happy to be home with the kiddos now.
That's awesome. And like I said, being a parent, one of the best things you could possibly be. I'm not saying women stay in the kitchen. I'm saying that for myself as well. As a parent, that's the best thing that's ever happened in my life too. So, but you are a slasher slut extraordinaire. Her words, not mine. I would never call you that.
That's
Um,
fine.
but your love of horror started in your early teens and really blossomed in your 20s thanks to Chris Chainsaw, who
Yep.
we
Guilty
also
as
know and love
charged.
here at Sledgehammer Horror. Um, but you were also a singer and a musician for many years, and it is your goal, your dream, to release a Christmas album. So as
I
long as you can push that "All I Want for Christmas" out and give me something new, Mia, I will
listen,
be happy.
listen, you talk to Jeff Whitmire and you tell him that him and I need to do an Anna and the Apocalypse duet. It needs to happen. I've
I
already
agree.
like told him, I'm like, come on, Jeff, let's do it.
Jeff, if you're
Uh,
watching, man, you're my friend. You're somebody I know, love, and respect, and I've worked with many times. And Jeff, I would love to see you and Mia do something like that together. That would be absolutely fantastic. I'm pitching, Jeff. I'm pitching. You got my
we already
email.
did
Make
Don't
this happen.
Sleep. So I mean, come on. We've got this now.
Right, right. Well, I mean, and the best thing about all this, guys, is Mia is not only an amazing creator and an amazing friend. You can follow her on social media and spicy pages as well, because I have all of those links right down in the description. So make sure you're becoming a part of her family. Because, like I said, we've been friends for a really long time, and this is
Yeah.
just something that we finally had to have happen. Because
Aim.
I've loved watching her grow as a horror creator and seeing all the cool, amazing things she puts out in the horror sphere on Twitter. And I'd love to learn how that started for people. So what a segue, Mia, because now we're going to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Mia, the first horror movie you watched was,
The Ring.
and might I also say, my personal favorite PG-13 horror movie. So, uh,
Uh-huh.
you remember about how old you were the first time you had seen it?
I was like right between like 12 and 13 because it the movie released in theaters in 2002, I believe.
Yes.
And I didn't see it until it was released on DVD. So that
Okay.
was 2003.
Yeah, back then it didn't come out 4 weeks after theaters.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
It like took a good long while.
right.
So it was the summer of like 2003 when I first watched it.
Okay. And do you remember who you were with when you watched it for the first time?
I was with like a big group of friends. We all went to the video rental store because those were a thing. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, you've got to see this. You've got to see this." And I'm like, "I don't wanna. Please don't make me."
That's awesome.
But then I watched it and I was like, "This is terrifying," but I kind of like it.
Dude, and I remember when that movie came out, it was so like there were people, I don't know if you'll remember this, but they were warning people at the movie theaters, like people have had a heart attack while watching this movie, guys, so please be careful. And I was young and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a heart attack and die if I go watch this. Let's do it. Let's go watch it right now.
Yep.
Um, and it's still one of those movies I feel like really holds up. I've been a big fan of The Ring for a long time because its ability to scare you without having the blood and the guts, and this is strictly just a scary movie. And there's nothing wrong with the others, but to have a PG-13 movie like this that affected people so deeply really shows how scary the script writing was, the acting was, and everything about this movie really worked. So
Yep.
very, very impactful movie with a lot of very
Hmm.
impactful scenes. But do you remember what scene it was that affected you the most?
Honestly, it was the end. It was the when Rachel like discovers why the tape is happening and like what actually happened to Samara. Because I feel like for me, I didn't grow up in like a horror loving household. That not the vibe. Um, so my only experience with horror at that point had been like slashers and really gory stuff.
Hmm.
So to see a movie that built up that intensity and that thriller like scare feeling,
Yeah.
but also you like kind of feel bad for the bad guy.
Hmm.
Like there was an emotional side to that I didn't know horror could have.
Right.
And I think that that's why seeing, what happened to Samara and why she was killing people, it was it was kind of like tugging at my heartstrings and it
And what I love
showed a
about
new
that
thing.
No, what I love about that is you're like, yes, she freed her. We watched her turn into a skeleton now. Everything's gonna be okay. They saved the day. Everything's good. And then you get Aiden,
Don't you understand, Rachel? She never sleeps.
and you realize that she walked right into Samara's trap, which I agree, Aiden. I have kids and they never fucking sleep. Never. They never sleep. Um, but that also, like, I think we often forget how great the twist of that was. We're cheering for Rachel. We're like, yes, you freed her. You let that poor little girl's soul go free. And then you get that moment and you're like, oh my God, no, that's what she wanted you to do. Like, it's
Yep.
just genius.
Love a good twist.
Yes. Um, Now this movie, it doesn't have a lot of death in this movie.
That's it.
There's probably just a handful of deaths in this movie, but each one is very memorable. Do you remember which death it was that affected you the most?
I'll say two
Okay.
because for different reasons. The obviously the closet scene
I saw her face.
is iconic. And I think like seeing that, I mean, that was like my first time seeing a dead body. You know what I mean? Like that's
Especially like that.
whew. Um, but also, oh my God, what's his name?
The dad.
Yes, yes. That was so like heart-wrenchingly painful to see. But on the flip side, like, sir,
Amazing.
sir,
Yeah.
that's one hell of a way to go, bro.
Because we finally see her, come out of the TV,
Mm-hmm.
and like, especially back then, you're like, oh my fucking God, like, no way is this happening. Because again, we thought they were safe.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, cool, everything's good to
Yep.
go. They're rolling, they're happy. And since we are talking about a franchise, I know that, We have The Ring, we have The Ring 2, and we have Rings at this moment. Word on the street is we'll be getting another version of this soon at the time of recording. But since we're talking about a franchise, I do gotta ask Mia, which
Mm.
movie in the Ring franchise is your favorite?
Oh, the first one. Yeah. That's like with no.
Yeah,
It's the only one that matters.
I agree. I agree with
Yeah.
you 100%.
Mm.
But talking about The Ring and how important this movie is, a movie that I could talk about for hours. We get to see Adam Brody in this movie. Like I get so excited every time I see young Adam Brody.
I forgot that he was in that until in anticipation and trying to refresh my noggins. I rewatched it and I was like, oh yeah, forgot he was in this.
When we rewatched it for the podcast for the first time, I was like, "Shut the fuck up, man! Get out of here!" Like, and he's so serious and dry, but he's still very like Seth Cohen from the
Yeah.
OC in this role, and it's just like so amazing.
And he's like, he died. They said he killed himself. Like, okay,
Yes. Well,
calm
I
down.
mean, Mia, I've had an amazing time talking about The Ring and what that movie means to you. But
Mhm.
here for a second, I do want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you.
Okay.
Um, my little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Mia? What
Oh,
is your favorite horror movie of all time?
ah, I mean, it seems a little on brand, but it's Scream. It's
Can't
definitely
argue.
Scream.
Can't.
I honorable mention to Evil Dead though.
The original Evil Dead?
The OG. We're talking not Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead.
Okay. See, I'm a sucker for Evil Dead too.
Yeah. I love the camp. I love the
Yeah.
nonsense. And I
See,
think that it
what I think is I agree with you on. Anybody could tell me any movie in the Evil Dead franchise is their favorite, and I'd be like, I get it. I get it.
yeah,
Um, to me, it's always been my top three favorite horror franchises, and I think this will always be the same no matter what. Will always be Child's Play, Evil Dead, and Saw. I mean, they're interchangeable. Child's Play is number one, but Scream is the most consistent, I think, when it comes to continuity and quality of film.
mm,
Um, but me personally, Evil Dead 2013, I think, is a masterpiece. So
me a chainsaw.
exactly. So
It
uh
completely.
I think that there's something so special about those movies. I'm very excited for the upcoming Evil Dead Burn. The name itself just like gives me like that feeling in my chest. So I'm
Yep.
so excited about that as well. Um, so with Scream and Evil Dead, what I was gonna say, the original Evil Dead, I usually put at the bottom of my Evil Dead list, and people are like, really, it's your least favorite? I'm like, you gotta understand though, my least favorite Evil Dead movie is better than my favorite Halloween movie. You know what I mean? Like that's how much I love Evil Dead. Like my least favorite one of those is better than my favorite one of another franchise.
Yeah.
So it's again, like it's more like a 1A, 1B, 1C. So I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Now we've talked about these movies and what they mean to you, but before I let you go, I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
We always bounce back to your first horror movie, which was The Ring.
Mhm.
And what we're going to do is rank this movie on a skull count. Now, Mia,
Okay.
we're not ranking this on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. We're not being critics.
Mm.
All we're doing is ranking The Ring on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Mia, what would your ranking of The Ring be?
I would give it a solid 4.5 because that
Perfect.
movie changed me. It just for reference, The Ring being my first horror movie willingly
Yeah.
because I accidentally watched Leprechaun Back in the Hood when I was like 10.
Sorry.
And that was not a good experience. That quickly got changed. But as like the next like involvement I had in horror was Saw. And I like
Yep.
devoured it. So without exposing myself to The Ring, I would probably not be where I am today as a horror fan.
I've talked about that numerous times. I was blessed. I grew up in a video store. My mom and dad owned a mom and pop video store. If it wasn't for House 1985, I wouldn't be right here today. House started something in me that has never gone away. My first horror movie, for those of you that don't know, I've been doing this for like 20 years. We'd be at parties, drinking at bonfires and shit, and I'd be talking to people about the first horror movie they watched. This is something that I do as a passion because I love to learn about it from other people and what it means to them. And to hear you say that, like, I genuinely believe if I did not watch House, I would not be me right now. The person I am right now would be completely different had I not stumbled upon. I mean, I could have watched I could have watched Critters, could have been my first horror movie, and I could still be a completely different guy than I am right now. So
Mhm.
to hear you say that the ring really puts you on the trajectory of the human being that you are today that I know and love so much, that's awesome to me. To hear that something like a horror movie that most people look at and go, that's a movie. It's not to us. It's important.
Yeah.
It's a part of us. It's special. You know, the Ring for is an extension of you. House is an extension of me. Pet Cemetery is an extension of Ashley. Like these are the movies that started us on this path that we're on today and made us the people that we are and that we love to be. So, man, God, that was so refreshing to hear you say something like that. So, um, Mia, please don't go anywhere. I do got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I do want to remind everybody because we're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, all of Mia's links are right down in the description. So make sure you're following her, becoming a part of her family as well. I promise you're not going to regret it. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.